Hello everybody again, and this is our third video. And this video is going to be dedicated to focusing on Google Forms and surveys and quizzes that you can create with Google Forms. So again, we are in Google Drive. This is our hub for our Google apps. And I'm going to go back to the Tech Tuesday folder that I created because I want everything that I'm learning about in this session to be in one folder. And see, I've already had a slides presentation and a docs that I've created within this folder. So now we're going to go to New, and we are going to, and I don't see Google Forms, so it's going to be in More. So that's where it's going to be. And once again, as in docs and slides, I can do a blank form, which is usually when you click on it, you get a blank form, or I can do it from a template. So just real quick to show you what that looks like, you have some pre-made templates that you can start with if you want to get some ideas. And then you can just tweak it. It's so easy to tweak. But just take a look at those different options. And I'll just show you. We'll do an exit ticket. And so that's going to create the form with this format that's already been created for me. But I don't like this picture up here, so I'm going to change that. I might change some of the information here, but it just gives me kind of a good start. So this is a Google form, and I will show you what it looks like if we just create a Google form that is blank. Usually get this nice purpley color, but I don't like that either. Tell you what, I'm going to kind of work with this for a while because this is just brand new. Notice I have untitled form, I have untitled form, I have no form description, I have no questions, no nothing. So this is a blank slate to start with, or again, I can start with that template that has the exit ticket title. I can change that title just by clicking up there, and I can change it to whatever I want to. I can move it to a different folder. Right now I'm in Tiger Tech or Tech Tuesday folder. And then I can just click on a question and change it to whatever I want to. So I'm going to go back actually to the blank form. Now I want to set a theme so it just doesn't look very pretty. So there's a little palette here, little art palette, little icon. So if you click on that, you can choose a theme color. You can choose your colors here. You can add a color, a custom color. You have your background color, and that's this color right here. You can also change your font styles. I kind of like playful. And so I'm going to actually choose an image. I just like choosing images, and that goes across the top. You've got different categories of images here, and it starts at work, at school, and so I normally will just kind of scroll here and just kind of what I'm feeling. Um, just any of these. I like the stars. I like nature. I tell you what, there's also in these others here, there's some, I'll just show you that there are some that are animated. So I kind of like that. So when you have this coming up here, you have this animated butterfly going and kind of like that. Well, I want to change, it comes up with the theme colors. So I kind of want to change, I can change the background color, the theme colors. I like the orange. I'm going to choose some different colors. So you can play around with the theme of your overall form, but usually the images that they provide with the themes are fine. You can always upload your own picture, which is definitely an option if you want to put your students there. Easy to do. So as easy as going to that, customize your theme right there. This little eyeball right here is your preview. So if you're working on your form, you want to see what it looks like for the students, you would just hit that eyeball and it would show you what they would see when they're doing the form. So we'll get out of that. Now, I did not title this form, so this is going to be my Tech Tuesday form. Now you can call it whatever you want to. If you want to go ahead and create an exit ticket for your class that you're going to use, then you just title it whatever you want to, or you could just do Tuesday practice, whatever you want to call it. So the title I put up there is automatically populated here. You can put a form description if you want to put instructions on what this form is about. That's where it would go. So some sort of description to let students know what is expected in the form. Okay, and then you start questions, and you'll notice this little thing right here. So it's like it's its own block, and each question will be its own block, and you will be able to grab those little dots right there, and you can move your questions, and you can put them in different positions and different orders. So easy to do by just grabbing that block that contains that one question. So you start your question here, and then on the right, you'll see that you can choose what kind of question this is. Is it short answer? Is it a paragraph that they need a little bit more room? Is it multiple choice? So that will just be choosing one. Is it check boxes where you can choose a multiple number of boxes? Or is it coming from a drop down and you would be able to populate that? Is it a file upload that they might be uploading for the answer to that question? Do you have a scale, multiple choice grid, checkbox grid, date, time? All right, so you've got a whole bunch of different options here. They make it very easy. Say I want a checkbox, so they automatically turn to checkboxes here. Here's option 1. You just keep going. Option 2, and you just keep going. Option 3, or you can add other. And so this option, checkboxes, they will be able to choose different. So this will be a sample question for checkboxes. And okay, I have my options. Now you do have your ability to add some images here. So this would come, again, you can upload from your computer or you can go to your Google Drive and add pictures from there. But that's just pictures that they're going to see as options. All right, so there's option 1, and then you can do option 2, option 3. So here I can duplicate the question if I want to make another question that's similar to this and not have to retype everything, or I can delete the question. Now I can also mark here if it is required question. So often if it's names or if it's a quiz or something, yeah, you would mark them all required. And that way, if they miss something, it will remind them that they have to answer that particular question. Show description, response validation, or shuffle option order. So you have that option as well. You do have this little toolbar over here on the right. This is going to be adding another question. If I hit that, it's just going to add a question below. And so notice that it's opening up that another box. You have a title and description I can add. And so that's another one. Here we have another question. We have another image. We can add videos, and you can add another section to it. So this is you just kind of play with it. Notice as in docs and slides, as we've talked about, that as you're working on this form, all changes are saved simultaneously as you're working, so you don't have to worry about it being saved or not. And again, you can always change the theme options at any time. So different questions. I'm going to make this, let's do a drop down. And so you'll have different option 1 drop down, option 2. I'm going to say this is a sample drop down question. And I'm going to require that as well. This one is, I'm going to say this is a sample. We need to do a multiple choice. And then let's make that. Oh, this is just a title sum here. So I don't want that. I want another question. Sample, we need a multiple choice. And we have option 1, option 2, A, B, C, or D, and option 4. Like I didn't even have to type it, it just knows me. Did I require, and if I require it, it puts a little red asterisk there. I need to require that. Let's add another question. It's so easy to add the questions, and I'm like, oh no. Let's see. Let's do a paragraph, and so it will give them a box for putting in some text. So this is a sample paragraph question. I'm going to require it, and I think that kind of gives you the gist. So from here, if I want to look to see what this looks like, go up to the preview and we'll see what it looks like to the students. So here's option 1. So it looks like I want to put some images in here, and that's what they would look like. So they would choose option 1, and they want to choose option 2 as well, and other, and maybe option 3 too. So all that apply. So that was a sample of a checkboxes. And then I have a sample drop-down question. So that would be my question right here. And then I would choose option 1 for the answer. Here's a sample multiple choice. I would choose one option, and again, it's required. Sample paragraph is I would start answering the question in here, and it would give me a good amount of space, and it would keep giving me lines. So that's for paragraph. Now there's also the short answer, and but this is kind of gives you an idea of what it would look like for the student. So I'm going to get out of here, go back to the form that I'm working in, and just make sure we've covered everything. Now I'm going to go in just a minute. I'm going to fill it out and I'll show you what the responses look like, but I have another sample form that you can look at to see. Now this is fairly new. I'm not sure exactly what year this started, but used to, you would have your form and then your responses would show up in a spreadsheet. So the Google Sheets, it would have the same title as your form, and it would say responses to the right of it. And so it would be all in a Google Sheet. But right now, the way they've changed it is you're able to see your responses right there in your Google form. And this is what you see. Now, obviously, the students wouldn't see this. This is only the creator of this form would see. So we are still in creation and editing mode here, and see responses here. Now, once you have you can see your responses. I'll show you that in just a second. But then you could create a spreadsheet from those responses, and it would just create, again, a Google Sheet with your responses in the different columns, and I'll show you that in just a second. So here is a sample form that I'm using for badges. For when you request a badge, we have 474 responses so far, so that's 474 badges usually. And so here were my questions for the badge form. I created it. Those were the different badges, and the reflection questions. I definitely want some reflection on what could you do better next time, because we're always growing and we always learn from what we do in class, and we want to do better the next time. And then I can go to my responses and I can see a summary of the responses. So this shows me excuse me, shows me the people who have responded. And then it shows me here's last names, and then for which badge. Oh, all these different badges and nice colors. And it shows me the answers to the question. So there's the summary mode. If I go back up to the top here, I can look at the individual. And so I have 1 through 474, and I can scroll through that number. And I can say I want to go to 100, and it would take me to the 100th response, and I'm able to see all of them. So I'm able to see each individual form as well. Now I also have a spreadsheet already created, and so that's what this looks like. So here's my spreadsheet coming from that form, and it breaks it down by timestamp, and that's the order that it goes in, and it has the email, last name. So all the questions in my form are a different column. And then I created different tabs at the bottom to help me to help me separate by campuses. I did a little coding in this spreadsheet, and I was able to, as it came in, if it was high school, then it's going to the high school tab. If it's intermediate, it's going to the intermediate tab. So that's what it looks like in the spreadsheets. And then this is what it looks like in the responses. And then this is in my editing mode for this actual form. All right, so we were in this one right here. So if I go to this eyeball, and I'm going to look at what it looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and choose a couple of options here. I'm going to answer. Here is my awesome answer, and then I'm going to submit. And I want to talk about this here in just a second. It says your response has been recorded. So there's your default. We can change that in just a second. I'll show you that. So I did submit. So when I go back here, I already have a response. So here's the response. Here I'm on the summary, so I'm able to see the summary here. And as more people use the form, you're going to be able to see different results. And then here's the individual. And so I did not put anything in there about name, which I usually do. And I will tell you this. I'm going to go back to the questions. I'm going to insert a question, and I'm going to put in last name. Now, I usually like to separate my name out, my last name and my first name, because I want to put it in alphabetical. So that's usually a good idea to do last name and first name. Notice that Google knew when I put in name, it's going to be a short answer question. So they already knew that I was going to do that. I am going to require that because I want their name. And then I'm going to put first name. Now, obviously, I don't want this, and see, they automatically changed it. They're just awesome like that. I'm going to require it. Now, I want this up at the top. Now, remember I told you that each of these questions were its own little box, and you see that little, the 6 little dots right there. So it's like a handle. So if I click on that and I move this up, I can move my question all the way to the top. So that's where I want it. And then I want my first name. I'm going to grab the 6 dots, and I'm going to move it all the way to the top, and I want it to go under last name. So I just put it in the position that I want it, and it's easy to switch around. Okay, let's go to settings for just a second. This is the other main thing. Now, here I usually, when I'm dealing with the teachers, obviously they're all in Will's Point. So I want to restrict this form to users in Will's Point ISD. So I usually check that. Now, if you don't care, you just unclick it. Collect email addresses. So that's going to be, notice I did not, when I did my, where is it? This form right here. I did not ask for an email address in my form for badges, but it collected it because I did check that box. So it gets me the timestamp of the form submission as well as the email address, because that's what I'm checking right here. Collect email addresses. Restrict to Will's Point. Limit to 1 response. They don't need to do another one. Can they edit after submission? Sure. See summary charts and text responses? Not necessary. Now in the presentation, this right here, remember when I did submit that form and it said your response has been recorded, I may want to say thank you so much for taking the time. Looking forward to visiting with you. So next time they fill out the form, show progress bar. That's, if you want them to see that they're getting closer and closer to the end, you can do that. You can shuffle the question order. So if you're doing a quiz, talk about that in just a second. You can shuffle question order if you want to. So I'm going to click save on that. And so that means, and then you'll get this little thing right here. This is because I chose just to collect the email addresses, and I can change the settings here as well. So if you want to do a quiz, you go to the quiz here in the settings and you say, make this a quiz. release the grade immediately or later after you review it. A respondent can see missed questions, correct answers, point values. So you can choose whatever you want to here. If you want them to have immediate feedback to know if they missed it or not, if you want to see the point values, and then you just click Save. So you will see total points over here. So you can create quizzes out of your Google Forms, which gives immediate feedback. But again, you have a lot of control in your settings there on on what how you want that format to look like. So that's as easy as just clicking that make it a quiz, and it will grade it for you. Now, if you do make this a quiz, let's go back to these questions. Now, you'll notice that you have here answer key. So it's hard to do when you have short answers or paragraphs or whatever, but you are able to choose which is the right answer, so it will be able to grade it for you. So if you do choose that quiz option, then you're going to have to put in what the answer is. You click on here's the right answer. And it's as easy as that. So that's your right answer. So you're just selecting the answer key, and then again in those settings you're able to see, they can see if you want to, if you select it, what they missed and what the correct answers were upon submission. So I hope that helps as far as the forms. They're so easy to work with. All the Google apps are super easy to work with. It's just so easy to create something that gives our students immediate feedback. Great for quick formative assessments. You could literally create a form and an exit ticket in 2 minutes and then supply that link. So let's do that last thing. So when you have your form completed and you are ready for it to go live, you've looked at it and it looks good, you click on send. So this says it's automatically going to collect their email addresses. We have that chosen. Now you can email it, and it has the subject here, and I'm inviting you to fill it out. So you can email it. Oh, and here is also, you can add collaborators here if you want to. If I just want the link, then I click on the link icon, and here's the link to it. Now it's so long. I'm going to shorten it just a little bit, and it will give a Google shortener for the URL. And so I like that. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it up on my board, or I'm going to put it in Google Classroom and post it there. Here's embedding. Most of the time you're usually going to be looking at the link, but you may embed it as well somewhere. You can embed it in your website. And so the form will actually show up on the website. So it can show up in email. You just provide the link, and then they click on the link, and it will go out. And that's what I normally would do, is provide that link in Google Classroom, and then the kids would go to Google Classroom, and it would take them straight to that form. So that's the easiest way. You just copy that. It will copy this. It says copy to clipboard. You go to Google Classroom, stick it in there. You literally could have an exit ticket done in 2 or 3 minutes, just to make sure they've got what they were supposed to get for the day. So that's how you send that information. So that's your last step once you like it and you're ready to go. So you just click send to get that information. Now the 3 dots over here, this is again where you can add collaborators if you're sharing or working with somebody else on that. Make a copy of it. Add-ons, another session. Let's look at the preferences. Collect emails, make questions required, default quiz point value. If you want to make it 50 or 100, that's in your default. That's your preferences. So easy peasy. I'm back in the Tech Tuesday folder. There's my form. Tell you what, I'm going to go back to this form, and I'm going to go to responses, and I'm going to create a spreadsheet. So create a new spreadsheet. Here's the default title. It's the name of the form with responses, and I'm going to create that. And so when I go back to the Tech Tuesday folder, and there's that, I did those, the one that I submitted, those are my answers. So I go back to Tech Tuesday, and there's that spreadsheet. It's called Tech Tuesday form responses, and I didn't even have to type that in. So here's the form. In that form, I'm able to see the questions and edit if I want to. I can make changes at any time, and anybody that clicks that link from then on would get the new questions. Here's the responses. I can look at the summary, question, individuals, and then the scorer. Here's the scorer was not released because it was after the fact. Oop, I did not get that right. All right, and then back in Tech Tuesday folder, you see the Tech Tuesday form, which you can always go back to, and then you have the responses in a sheet. So hopefully that makes it easy for you to understand forms. I would say the best way to get to know it is to just play with it and ask me any questions. A lot of the teachers have already been using forms, and a lot have been using them for quizzes. So please, if you see the Google Form badge on anybody's poster, feel free to ask them. But I'm always here for you in case you need me. So I hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great one.